Good morning, everybody. Hope you're well. We are just over an hour and a half until the game week 11 deadline. I'm coming to you a little bit earlier than planned. You can blame Newcastle United because unfortunately I've got to be with my son in 11 o'clock, which is deadline this morning. So I thought I'd still do an hour stream for you, but I'm going to be finishing at 10:30 UK time rather than 11 o'clock. Get your questions into the chat. First come, first served. I'll cover as many of you as I can. I'll send links out to the communities that I'm in. While I do that, I'll take you through what I've done in terms of transfers for this week. I've sold Christian Walton of Brighton and bought in Sam Johnston of West Bromwich Albion as cover for obviously Emi Martinez, who is not playing this game week. I've left Martinez and Grealish bust in the team just in case there is 0.01% chance that Aston Villa Newcastle was rearranged for midweek and we might not know about it. I like the message from Immortal Treknique saying, "Morning, Andy." I mean, we can talk FPL, but I'm not let's talk FPL. I've also bought Che Adams as replacement for Raul Jimenez. That is my -4, so I'm going with a bust Martinez in goal, but obviously expecting Sam Johnson to play. Nico Williams, Ruben Diaz and Andrew Robertson as the back three. Let's be honest about it, guys. None of them might play. I've got Kyle Walker-Peters and Luke Ayling as cover. Midfield 4 of Bruno Fernandez, captain. I decided it wasn't worth a -8 to get my top captain pick, Kevin De Bruyne, in this week. With Phil Foden, who I'm not expecting to play either. Heung-min Son, Bush, Jack Grealish, but obviously expecting Thomas Soucek to come in. Harry Kane, Che Adams and Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. That's how I line up this week. Top right hand corner of the screen you can see my full team for the week and how it's bust, etc. I am not anticipating a good week. Bottom right hand corner of the screen you'll see my top 10 captaincy picks for the week in preference. I do believe Kevin De Bruyne is the best shout. Just a little bit more security on the start over Raheem Sterling. I do think Sterling will play as well, by the way. Salah, Fernandez, Jesus, Mahrez. There's obviously I know what Pep said about Mahrez last night. He said he'd play. He didn't say he'd start. Just to remind everyone. But it looked fairly concrete to suggest that yes, Riyad Mahrez probably will start for Manchester City. I think Timo Werner, I think Leeds will get something today, but it could be that it opens up really well for Chelsea on the counter-attack today, actually. Jamie Vardy's decent shout at Sheffield United. Dominic Calvert-Lewin at Burnley. Harry Kane against Arsenal. I don't think Heung-min Son is a great shout for anybody who's thinking that. Purely because I don't know if he's going to play on the right and the left. I think if he plays on the left, he'll have some success. I think he probably will play on the left. But don't fancy him if he plays off the right, which obviously he has done the last couple of games. Right. Let's get into the questions. I can already see some people putting repeat questions into the chat. Please don't do that because I literally will just ignore you. Right. Haiku Azawi says, "Good morning, James. Is Kelleher," I'm probably pronouncing that completely fucking wrong, aren't I? Versus Wolves, a good option for clean sheet points for 1 week. God bless you abundantly. Cheers, pal. Good luck to you. I assume he plays. He obviously played well against Ajax in midweek, so it's reasonable. But I think you'd rather get a 4.5 million cover who's going to continually play beyond this week. And obviously, it's also going to block you for Liverpool players further down the line, right? If you want to get a Liverpool treble up. So it's not really a good choice, to be honest. Unless you've got that wild card in hand, the first one, you haven't used it yet, in which case you're obviously thinking very short term, it might be okay, but it's likely to block you. So I'd rather look at the likes of Johnston, Meslier, McCarthy, rather than Kelleher, personally. The Emerald Pilot says, "Good morning, James. 2 questions. 1, the best rotation goalkeeper with Martinez. McCarthy, Meslier, Johnston." I've not looked at the rotation in detail because I said I'm only looking at it short term. 2, is it worth hit to transfer Jota in for this week for Grealish or Son? Thank you. That question's really difficult to answer in terms of is the hit worth it? What does it mean? Do you need the return immediate? Are you looking for something longer? There's a good chance you're going to get to next week and think, shit, I want Heung-min Son in my team. Because he could well be a decent option away to Crystal Palace next week. The reason I decided to go Johnston rather than McCarthy or Meslier was 2 reasons. 1, I asked Harrison on Clash of Correspondence and he told me yes, so that was good enough for me. 2, the reason I thought it was worth a -4 is because I'll actually play him next week as well, as long as their game against Newcastle is on. There's one danger of going Johnson to replace to Martinez. You might find yourself in the same problem next week if Newcastle haven't recovered. So Johnson I went for very short term. Probably McCarthy, I would guess, is probably the best one longer term, I would have thought. Sandesh says, morning James, good luck Cancelo to reach James -4, worth it? Not in my opinion. We seem to be all under an assumption that Cancelo won't play today. You'd be sick if he does. Jamie Faint says, Jota in for Barnes. Leicester are frustrating at the moment, aren't they? You still got 2 good fixtures out of Leicester. But obviously I don't mind that as a move at all. Chris Duckworth says, morning James, considering Martinez, Son and Wilson to McCarthy, KDB, Bamford for -8. Would give me a playing goalkeeper, KDB captain over Bruno and Bamford over Bissouma. What do you think? Sounds fairly decent, Chris. Look, you're obviously losing 2 players that aren't playing, so that's going to make you feel like you're getting the value for money there, if you will. So yeah, I don't mind it at all, particularly as one of those players is then going to be your captain as well. I noticed over 250,000 people bought Callum Wilson this week. God bless FPL managers. Jovial said, can Everton keep a clean sheet at Happy Place Turf Moor? Anyone can keep a clean sheet at Happy Place Turf Moor, and also Unhappy Place Ewood Park, by the way, if they ever played there. Fintan H said, Southampton or Brighton for a clean sheet? Grim. I think both teams will score. Would slightly favour Southampton. Ash said, now Mahrez is confirmed to play by Pep. Is Grealish to Mahrez better than Son to Bruno? Yes. Thomas Kowalski says, morning. Steve Saunders, morning James. Do you think Son to Mahrez for a hit is worth it? No, not particularly. Not particularly. Only if he was going to stick the armband on him, personally. Because you're going to want to reverse that transfer next week. Almost definitely, I think. Clayton says, morning James. Darren Petterson, morning James. Who will score more points this week, Mahrez or Ziyech? We have to fancy Mahrez at this stage, don't you? We assume from Pep's comments late last night, go and check out Man City Extra or Fantasy Football Scout had the quotes as well. You would think from those quotes that, yeah, he plays. But it's Pep. Pushkar says, request for a Game Week 16 separate podcast or a people's poll. Don't worry, Pushkar. I'm going to be all over this content this month, right? Only 46 podcasts in December. 23 of them on Patreon. If you'd like to support Planet FPL on Patreon, that would be the best Christmas present that I could ever ask for. We don't give out great advice. We're not going to make you better FPL managers. This is the place where I give out the answers to the questions, and it's free. Damien says, Tanguy and Ndombele is very good in skill moves. His assist for Sun versus Man City is an example of that. Your thoughts? Love Tanguy. Fitness is still an issue, but he's getting there. He's got all the ability. It's all about mentality for him now. FPL telling Josh says, thoughts on Souček to Mahrez free transfer? It seems quite straightforward. Will allow me to bench Grealish. Mahrez a 1 week placeholder for Fulham and will move to Salah captain. You've got it sorted there, Josh, I think, mate. Alex Percival, Werner, DCL and Bamford. Decent front three. Yep, absolutely fine. Jonathan Boland, morning James. Hope you're doing well. No questions. No problem, Jonathan. Good luck to you. Alfredo, how should I get rid of my porn addiction? It is affecting my mental health. Please help with your advice to get rid of it. Well, you can always DM me. You can send me some porn as well if you want. Just make sure they're links that are knowable, otherwise I'm not going to click on them. How should you deal with it? Probably find yourself another lady or a couple of ladies. The more action you're getting in the house, at home or other people's houses, tends to kind of help you with the amount of porn you may or may not watch. Also, find other addictions. So, drinking, smoking, gambling. Fantasy Premier League. Victor Sandberg says, hey James, how absolute mental is it to bring in Saka for Barkley, thinking that Lloris might be out? It's not a move, Victor. Yes, as I said on my stream yesterday, if Lloris is out, then Arsenal will probably beat us. But that's not a move, really, mate. Z21293. Hi James, find myself in a funny situation. I have Sterling, Foden and Cancelo in my team. Can get KDB for Foden if I hit out Werner or Vardy. So tricky. Which one would you hit out? Probably Werner, because you're really going to want Vardy next week. then you're going to want to remove Vardy after that. So it depends if you're short, medium or long-term thinking, I think. Shamil Gulani said, if you had Sterling and no KDB, would you transfer Sterling to KDB for a -4? No, I wouldn't. I think Sterling will play as well, mate. And TJ, hi James, I agree with what you said yesterday about Chelsea versus Leeds being an interesting match and look forward to it, considering if it's worth waking up at 4 a.m. to watch the match. I set it to record, and Tim, but otherwise, yeah, get out of bed and watch it. Tim Wilton Davis, I need to replace Mitrovic, go to Che Adams or Bamford. I bought Che Adams, so that's going to be my call. Alden says, morning James, bought in McCarthy for Martinez, which means I now have a double Southampton defence. Would you in this situation rather start Ayling or KWP this game week? Cole Walker Peters, although attacking return for Luke Ayling is imminent, but I don't think it'll be this week. Ryan Welsh says, morning James, Pushkar, as a James Justin owner, should I be worried? Pereira seems back fit and I've no bench cover, Justin benching. You won't have a problem this week, mate. And TJ, and also the fact that I got Chilwell, James, Ziyech and Bamford. Would you play them all? Who least likely to return? Bamford, I suppose. Yeah, play them all, mate. Irish Maverick says, would you take a -8 next week to get Salah in so you have Salah, Bruno, KDB midfield? I don't know, you're selling, right? So I can't really answer that. Sanket Shah, I can see you put the same thing in twice, so you just get ignored, mate. No offence, pal. Bloomer Caldera, can your team overtake Sujan Shah's FPL points before game week 16? You have 5 game weeks. I doubt it, mate. Infamous FPL says, good morning, Jamie Flint, Reece James, Jota in for Robertson, Souček playing 3-5-2. You know I'm loath to sell Robbo. Look at them fixtures Liverpool have got coming up till game week 16 defensive. Fulham, Crystal Palace, West Brom and Newcastle. 4 of their next 5. And the one in the middle is Tottenham. And what are Tottenham doing in the big games? Sitting behind the ball and defending. Amazing defensive fixtures for Liverpool. I'm working on how I'm getting Trent back next week. That's one of the things in my mind. I'm not joking. So, no. Not for me, Jamie. Tommy and Peace, currently have 10 outfield players and no keeper with Martinez out. I have 1 free transfer. Would you buy a keeper or roll the transfer? Thank you for asking that in a nice, precise, concise way that hopefully can try and answer this for everybody. Personal choice. You'll get some people saying you should have full 11 players, take a hit, get a goalkeeper. You have a lot of other people who will say you should never take a hit for a goalkeeper or a defender. Don't worry, it's not worth it. I look at it like this. I had to sell Raul Jimenez anyway because it's another injury. So I've now bought in 2 players that are going to play who wouldn't have played. Just in appearance points, I should get them points back. I also have to factor in that I've got a bench that may need to cover me, like Walker Peters, Ayling, Souček, for obviously no Grealish, and potentially Ruben Diaz and Phil Foden, obviously rotation risk, and obviously also Nico Williams with Trent possibly back as well. So I really might need all 4 of the players that are currently sitting on my bench. So for me, I felt it was worth it. I also, for me, as I said, I'm looking to make the decision where I'm going to play Johnston next week. If it's just for the 1 week and it is for a -4, I don't know if it is. It's the fact that I would play Johnston again next week when they play Newcastle away would edge it over for me to be worth it. The other thing is, I like to chase the upside of it. The worst case scenario is Johnston gets a 1-pointer. That's the most likely worst aspect of it. Then I'm 3 points down, you could argue. The best case scenario is he gets a double pointer and then he pays for it himself and anything Che Adams does as a bonus. And I will, considering the position that I'm miles behind everybody, I've got a chase, right? So I would far rather go for the upside there, personally. Chris Wood says, good morning, James. Non-FPL related question. What is your favourite pastry to start the day? I'm currently tucking in a pain au chocolat. I do like a pain au chocolat myself, especially after a sausage roll from Greg's. But I haven't been to Greg's much in the last 9 months, as you can probably guess. Sausage roll is my creature of habit, because where I used to stop off when I travelled into work was a Greg's there when I got off the train. To be honest, that would be the usual, Chris. Sausage roll and a pain au chocolat, and that would generally start the day. If I was frisky, you get like a sausage roll or something, as in sausage. That didn't explain that very well. Sausage in a roll, like with ketchup. The other sausage roll. In famous FPL, would you stick or twist with Sterling? I'd stick. I think he's going to start, personally. If you want me to... Go on, I'll do it. Predict the Man City team. Edison in goal. Walker. Diaz, Laporte. I think Cancelo will play as well. Gundogan, Rodri, KDB, Mahrez right, Sterling left, Jesus up front. That's my prediction for the team. And listen, I never predict it correctly, but I think Sterling a player. I wouldn't sell him. To be honest, if I had him, I'd stick the armband on him. Fuck it. Live a little. Miller Marsh, yo James, would you double up Chelsea defence for this game? Only if I didn't have KDB as well, man. Miller Marsh, yo James, would you double up Chelsea defence for this game of Chilwell and James? I really think Leeds will get something today. I do think, as I explained yesterday, that it could open up and Chelsea would batter them on a counter-attack. I think Leeds could win comfortably. I think it would be a score draw. So, no, I wouldn't be in a rush to do that. Plus, Chelsea's fixtures are beginning to get a bit tougher, right? So, I'd stick with a 1 at the moment, personally. Whitebeard said, morning, loved all the pods this week. Good luck, thanks, pal. Pirlo's pen, very torn this week, mate. Son, Forster to Mahrez, Johnston, worth a hit to get 11. Means another hit for Salah next week. Don't worry about next week. That shouldn't affect your decision making. Oh, I could take another one next week. Because if there's positives in both of them, then they're both worth it, right? I'm not keen on that Son to Mahrez, though, personally. Do I think Mahrez outscores Son this week? Yep. As I said, I think you want to reverse the transfer next week, though. And as someone who plans in my head like that, I'm not keen on that as a move. Edwin Grant, you getting a haircut too, James? I fucking need one, but no, probably not. So for those joining the stream now, probably think, oh, James, you're going a bit early today. This stream will end at 10:30 a.m. today. You are probably already at the stage where if you haven't got your question in, I'm going to struggle to get to you. I have to finish at 10:30 a.m. today because my son Harry is booked in for a haircut at 11 a.m, which is right on deadline, which I cannot move, unfortunately. If you want to blame someone, blame Newcastle, because we should have been doing this last night. But Godspeed and good health to everybody at Newcastle United. Vishwajit says, Rashford and Salah out to KDB and Mahrez for free, and then Salah back next week. I mean, if it's for free, yeah, I don't hate it. But do you really want to remove Mo Salah? If it's for free, I'm okay with it. Ali Hewitt, looks like he's a Newcastle fan. Good morning, James. A lot can change in the next few days, but I'm banking a transfer this week and thinking of transferring out DCL and Kilman to Brewster and TAA. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are, enjoy the football this weekend, mate. Yeah, TAA, I might even captain TAA next week, but I need to see what his fitness is, to be honest. Craig Davis says, hi, James. Thoughts on Cancelo? Worth a -4 to transfer only Villa players on the bench. You mean to transfer him in, Craig? I don't think it's worth the hit if you're looking to transfer him in. Or you said transfer him out, I'm not sure. I wouldn't do either. I wouldn't sell him, and I wouldn't buy him right now. Martin Saline said, need to sell one of Kane or Vardy. Which one? It's not easy. It's probably sell Vardy of the two. But neither are probably really sellable. Sounds like you're trying to force Man City player in, Martin. Just give that a second thought. FPL Warrior, hi James, cheers for fitting us in around domestic duties, no problem. My only dilemma is whether to take a -4 swap, Grealish to Mahrez. Already taken my FT to get Johnson for my non-playing keeper. Yeah, look, very reasonable. Again, it's another one like with Son, where I'm saying you're looking at it, you're going, you're probably going to want him back next week, quite possibly. Probably one of the best captaincy shouts next week, I should imagine, particularly if he's back on the left. It's the same with Grealish. Once Grealish hits game week 13, you want him for them 3 fixtures, Burnley, West Brom and Crystal Palace. You just need to be conscious of that. I think so many people can only see this week when they make transfers. Just take a second look at what does it look like next week? What does it look like the next week after? Benny Blanco says, Mara's in for Rodriguez from -4. It's not worth it, is it? No, not really. Not really, mate. Goals in the game at Happy Place Turf Moor are most likely to be from set pieces, even for Everton, actually. And TJ, how did you know about Lloris's injury, James, before he was even flagged in FPL? How likely he won't be playing? Worth 1 week punt, transferring my non-playing reserve goalkeeper to Hart. Thanks, James. Look, if Hugo is 60% fit, he will play. If you actually look back at the shot he saved from Mason Mount, it was a good save, but actually it looked a better save because it was actually quite slow to get down. So it wouldn't surprise me if he played with an injury at Chelsea last week. If he plays with an injury tomorrow, that's better than Joe Hart playing. I'd rather have Hugo in goal one-handed. It's like, honestly, Hugo's massive for us. So my instinct is Hugo will play. I will be watching the game behind the sofa if Joe Hart is in goal. So, no, I wouldn't be getting Joe Hart in as an FPL transfer. Listen, it's a waste, right? Because he's shit anyway. So even if you get him in, he ain't getting you any points. It's a fucking waste of time, mate. How did I know before FPL? Well, FPL's not God. And neither's Matt Law from The Telegraph, who broke the story. But yeah, that's how I knew first. Optimus Prime says, in the end, I will buy Cavani. Good luck, mate. Hope that suspension doesn't come round anytime soon for you, mate. Static says, no questions, I'm all set, but hoping you and the family are well. Thank you for all that you do. You're legends as usual. Thank you very much, Static. Very kind of you. Edwin Guan, Johnston for Forster. Free transfer. We'll have 2 playing goalkeepers. Straightforward, mate. Get it done. Dragon says, would you take a hit for Souček in for Burke? Would play him over Kilman this week and be a decent 8th option for the busy period. A wildcard game week 16. Cheers. You need to think short term. You want to take a hit for someone like Thomas Souček. It's not worth it, mate. I mean, I've been a fan. He's been in my team all season. I'm a fan. A hit to bring him in as a good 8th option. No, that's something you can do as a free transfer next week or later on. If you're wildcard in game week 16, you only need to think short term, no longer than 5 game weeks. If you're taking hits now, you should only be doing it for the big boys. Man City today, for example. Perhaps Tottenham or Liverpool next week, for example. Those are the guys you want to be taking hits. Don't be taking hits for people like Thomas Souček when you're on a short-term strategy. Optimus Prime's predicted his Man City team, if anyone wants to see it. MD Medi Hassan, Onyx, Sterling, keep or sell. Keep for me all day long, mate. I think he'll start. Thomas Kowalski, Mahrez or Jota in for Son. I'm probably on the path of Foden's Jota next week. If you're selling Son and you've no intention to go back, then Mahrez is the play, I think, Thomas. Bets1604. Hi, James. Apologies in advance for this long-winded question. Desperately want to get Diaz in my Sky team, but can only sell one of my more premium players from KDB, Bruno, Kane, Vardy or Salah. The answer is do nothing. You desperately want to get him in. You won't feel desperate if he's not in that Manchester City team. It's not worth it, mate. You might not even play. So, no. Reassess. Find an open gateway. If you can work something that has something in advance where you can come off a Leeds or West Ham player next Friday for Ruben Diaz on the Saturday. I realise Manchester United is not the best entry point. That's where I'm going in. I'm completely reworking my squad so I can go to Diaz next Saturday. Michael Young says, hello Michael, thanks for joining our Patreon, you superstar mate. Hi James, Mikey you here. I didn't read Pep's comments to say that he is likely to start Mendy over Cancelo. What do you think? I think I've not seen that particular comment, to be honest. It wouldn't surprise me. Mendy plays, Cancelo plays, Zinchenko plays. None of them are going to... Listen, whatever the Guardiola's team is not going to surprise me, my friend. I haven't seen that comment where he said that he's likely to start Mendy. And anyway, what's likely mean? This is Pep. Likely doesn't mean anything. I predicted Cancelo play, actually. So, let's see. As for Goyle, where is this stream going? Probably in the bin at about 10:30 a.m, mate. Adam Keenor, do you still have a lot of money in the bank, James? Just trying to figure out your pounds total. Is about 2.2 million in the bank, mate. I don't think Bruno to KDB is worth the -8. I don't even, you'd think straightforward, right? Foden to Mahrez for a -4. I'm not convinced it's worth it, actually. Really not. Because Foden could play half hour and still go off, right? I just don't think it's worth it. So, yes, there's about 2.2 million in the bank. That enables me to do certain things next week. Jota is the straightforward move, probably in for Foden next week. Alternatives are DCL down to sort of Watkins area, and then Nico Williams-Trent is an alternative. Adam Keener, yeah, that's the question just asked. Sankey, it doesn't matter how many times you ask that question, because you've got a big red emoji as well. It's not really helped you, mate. I can't be dealing with the repeat questions. I'm just not dealing with it. I want to get as many people covered as possible. Pushcast says, your prediction for most captain players, first, second and third. KDB, Salah and Kane would probably be the 3 most. Not necessarily in that order, but probably in that order. FPL Warrior, what do you think of Roden? Think he found his feet after shaky first 10 minutes last week. I'm Welsh, obviously biased. Yeah, did good, but asked to give me a fucking heart attack at the moment when he tried to head it back to Giroud. But yeah, he did very well. Toby Alderweireld has an outside shot of playing tomorrow. Don't be surprised if he's in the team. Ethan Williams, thoughts on holding a free transfer for next week to do Kane and James Rodriguez to Bamford and Mo. Love your stuff, mate. Sounds like a decent plan, but not sure you're going to want to get rid of Kane. Crystal Palace away. Sounds like a move to obviously set up to get Mo Salah in for Fulham away, which I understand. If they're for free, then it's better as well. But a couple of alternatives possibly. Hornet says, morning James, Basuma brace incoming. Good luck with that. Antonio Gitto is Martinez to McCarthy from -4. Worth it. It's not a straightforward answer. Go back and listen to what I said about keepers 10 minutes or so ago. It's not straightforward. On the face of it, is it worth a -4? Just straight one question like that. Probably not, but what do you want to do with it? McCarthy becomes your permanent keeper, so how long are you judging it over? 5 weeks, 10 weeks? It's not easy to answer. Are you going to get the immediate return on that this weekend? Probably not. Irish Maverick said, I would be taking Robertson, Ziyech and Maupay for Salah and a 4.5 million defender and Brewster. I can't remember your question, mate, but that doesn't sound like it makes your squad any better, although Maupay probably does need binning. Blue Caldera, Dendonka, 4.8 million is a box-to-box midfielder. Is he a good fifth midfield option below 5 million? He was last year when he was 4.5 million. He never did fuck all for anybody. Yes, decent, because he's playing a majority of games for Wolves now, because basically Nuno doesn't feel he can play Neves and Moutinho together anymore unless they're having games where they can either sit off very deep or retain possession quite comfortably against weaker opposition. Anything that requires legs, then Donker plays, basically. It's a decent shout. I'd prefer Souček at 0.1 more, personally. Vikram says, who to bench, Ryan or McCarthy? Probably Ryan. Tifi Ferrero is Aubameyang, 11.5 million, good option from game week 12, despite him being out of form. He might be. He honestly might be. But let's see how he plays tomorrow. Adam Keenor, predicting any surprise results this weekend? Yes, loads as it goes. If Joe Hart's in goal for Tottenham, Arsenal to win, although I do fancy us to win, obviously, if our big players are fit. Sheffield United to beat Leicester. Burnley to beat Everton. Leeds to get something at Chelsea. There's a few for you. Pushcast said, there are so many voices already calling for a sell on DCL next game with due to fixture turn. Your take? No, Ings will be fit by then. I'd be looking to come down, as I already said. So, yes, this is kind of the end of the run for Calvert-Lewin. If I wasn't in problems, I wouldn't have hesitated to probably bin him off this week, to be honest. Not happy with what Everton are doing, particularly at the moment. And then run gets a little bit tougher for him. And for me, on short-term thinking, I can move, I think. So, yeah, there's every chance I'll be removing DCL myself this week. Hornet says, Newcastle match next weekend might not go ahead. Yep, I've covered that. FPL Ibro, hey James, good luck this game week. Instead of Watkins, who would you play and who would you bench between Souček or Lamptey? I would play Souček. Rhino, I get that question every week. It's rare I don't say Souček. Excuse me. Rhino Sullivan looking at getting Salah, De Bruyne and Prowse for Zaha and Rodriguez for -4. Faults. Well, like the two players that you've been in, but it's worth reminding yourself that they're playing West Brom and Burnley respectively. Sounds like you're trying to fight something for a captaincy there, Ryan, which I understand. But do we need James Ward-Prowse involved? I don't think you do, mate. Johnny Rawlinson, morning, James. I'm sat at 4 million plus with KDB and Sterling, planning on captain Sterling for each easy Man City fixture, but due to the mad 4% team selected by and therefore possible massive gains, this is mad. Cheers. No, mate. Johnny, back yourself. Pull the trigger, mate. Shane Robertson had an awful 32 points last week, dropping 400,000 places. Have now got KDB and Sterling. Does it feel a bit tilty going for Sterling captain over the safer option? Yeah, the one thing with that is what you got to remember is Sterling's gonna, if Sterling goes off like it was for Marius owners last week, it's still going to be a great differential, right? So the safer play is probably to stick it on KDB. That's how I would call it between the two. Greckler, would you hold Wilson? It's not an easy to answer question. They do have good fixtures in the next 3, assuming that they play, but you're going to be pig sick if you keep him. And then the West Brom game's off as well. So, yeah, West Brom Fulham and with Leeds in the middle is really tempting to hold him, but I would not desperate to have a Newcastle attacker anyway, personally. So I'd be looking to bin. Although fixture's not great this weekend, I must say. Shane Roberts, by the way, love the podcast. Thank you, Shane. Najee says Mahrez in for Grealish or Diaz in for Justin. Well, it's got to be Mahrez in for Grealish, I think, because there's probably enough doubt about Diaz playing. But that's never going to go away for Man City players in shit fixtures like this. Stewie Bryan, hey James, do you like Liverpool's 4-2-4 system to include Jota? Personally think it's a bit forced and makes Salah just slightly less desirable. PS, bench boosting soon, eh? Yeah, game week 19, I suppose, for a bench boost. Liverpool's 4-2-4. The only time I've seen them play 4-2-4 was when they played away to Manchester City in the first hour or so there. Other than that, it's kind of more of a 4-2-3-1, to be honest. I think they might be forced to play all four tomorrow because of fitness issues. I think Curtis Jones needs a break. Wijnaldum probably needs a break. If he can give either of them a break and play Henderson, I think that's probably what he'll do tomorrow. But Liverpool will always be best 4-3-3, in my opinion. Pete Haley, hi James, who to play? Brewster, Nico, or Balbuena? Have to play one. Good luck, mate. Go with Nico, mate. Listen, Nico Williams, this is how it's going to rock. He's either going to play an hour or play less than an hour and come off for Trent. He's either going to play over an hour, bank the clean sheet and come off for Trent. Or the worst case scenario is he's going to come on for Trent with like 20 minutes to go and get you a 1-pointer. Or he's not going to play at all. Look, I'll take the risk. Because I'm not big on Walker Peters or Ayling getting a clean sheet personally this week. So I'm taking a risk again. It's probably the last time I would say that. Gavin Gould, after Vardy quiet game last week, do you reckon he will be fired up this week, or is it a high gamble captain him? It's definitely a high gamble to captain him because there's probably better options out there. It's worth saying Vardy is a born Sheffield Wednesday fan, so he'll definitely be up for the game. That's not an issue. The issue is creativity of chances for him, and actually, this is always the danger with Jamie Vardy. The more attractive fixtures on paper is more difficult for him to get in behind. So it's not necessarily more appealing. What you need Leicester to get an early goal is what you need, and whether he gets it or not, just to open the game up a little bit. Otherwise, it becomes tough for him, no matter who the opponent is. If you've got on my top 10 captain picks, if you've got none of the top 7 on there, by all means stick the armband on him. But I don't personally think he's a great choice. Oscar Featherstone, who would you start out of? Brewster, Kilman or Soufal? Not ideal, I know. Brewster's not going to be doing nothing, is he? I don't think. Soufal, to be honest, mate. Not great, though, as you said. William Jones, hi James, hope you're good, mate. Crazy deadline. Thoughts on this -4? Rashford and Mitchell to Jota and Diaz. Not Kane. You already got Mahrez. Rashford to Mahrez for 1. John Kedwood says, hello James, enjoying the show. Mahrez looks off the pace, post-COVID recovery, question, but I've kept him. Differential captain choice may work out. Yeah, I don't hate it. Pushkar said, I used to listen to so many FPL pods, but started getting saturated with emotionless takes on every game. A shout out to you and Suj for the only one who make me enjoy football as much as FPL. Cheers. I mean, yeah, we're an FPL podcast first, but we do like to talk about football, really. That's the game we love, is football. Atsel Goyle, Lamptey, Dallas, Soufal for long term. Question, what does that mean? You want to play that as a back three every week? You ain't going to get many clean sheets, my friend. Or one to buy? Probably Dallas, actually. If I was buying one now. Some good run of fixtures coming up for Leeds. Alejandro says, already took a -4 this game. It attempted to Bruno Mahrez for another hit in order to bring in Salah and TA next game week. Thoughts? That's called last minute. Oh my God, Mahrez is playing. I want to do something. Listen, you want to remove, just stop, take a back seat and go, I want to remove Bruno Fernandez for Riyad Mahrez, irrespective of fixtures. Just give that a thought. I know what you're saying, potentially opens up doors for Salah and TAA next game week. But can you not just go Bruno to Salah next week? Might be a little bit better and then use the money differently. Craig Gardner, captain choice. I don't particularly fancy Fernandez. Captain, usually I go with the majority, but want something different. Currently captain Son. Other options, DCL, Mahrez, Kane, Thoughts. I'd prefer DCL and Kane over Son this week, personally. And Mahrez. So all of them I'd prefer over Son. I'm not keen on Bruno Fernandez captain either. I think he's default selection for me. I think it was probably either him, Kane or DCL, kind of because of the ownership of those 3 players as well. I've gone with Bruno as preferential. His obviously record in away games is outstanding. If you think of the position that Jack Grealish picked up for his equaliser against West Ham in a week, that's the sort of area that he can get into. Now, he's probably not going to drive at defenders in quite the same way that Jack Grealish did, but he'll have options ahead of him in the likes of Cavani, Martial, even if Rashford's not playing. So you're hoping that Bruno can pick up that pocket and do a little bit better than what I imagined, to be honest. So I've gone with Bruno. That's the best shout of the players that you mentioned. I think from the rest of those, take a gamble on Mahrez. You know what it could be. The thing is with Mahrez, right? It might come off at half-time, 1-pointer. I'm serious. Yeah, he'll play. I've seen this before. Yeah, he'll play. And he's off at half-time. He's been shit. Oscar Featherstone, I did a panic transfer. James to Mahrez. Thoughts? It doesn't matter, Oscar. You've made the transfer. It doesn't matter what I think. You've done it. Why have you done it? You obviously believed in yourself. I think it's a decent transfer, especially if it was for free. Aninda Daz, hi James, what do you think about double Liverpool and City players for the next few game weeks? Yeah, I think he's steaming towards Liverpool from next week, personally. Hated, adored, but never ignored. Treble captain Kevin De Bruyne to make up for -4 hit and Villa new mess. So to make up for the hit, you want to stick the triple captain armband on him. That's not the solution, in my opinion. Sai Surya, should I take out Bruno for KDB? I could do it for another -4 to take me to a -8. I'm not going to. Bruno is the best choice this week. If it's a free transfer, then yeah, I can absolutely see that. David Beaton, morning James, focusing on Sky more this year, just having fun with FPL, and Cavani is in FPL. Hopefully his ban will only be one game if he gets one, not sure he will. Anuj says, hi James, would you bench Lamptey or Reece James if you already have Chilwell and Diaz? Play Reece James, it's not a benchable player, mate. Al Dante Jedi, or Jedi even. KDB luxury captain. No, the best choice captain. FPL Warrior, start Dallas or Brewster. The fact that Dallas might play in midfield again would make me want to edge towards him, actually. So yes, Dallas. Amarch says, do you support the idea of selling Salah for Fernandez? No. Selling Salah for Fernandez? Why? No. I've got Fulham next week. Vikram, do you think Justin plays the next 3 games of this Pereira coming next week? So, a lot of that might depend on Castagne's fitness as well, who shouldn't be out for that long. I don't think Leicester have the need to rush Pereira back. If they stay with a back 3, Justin probably plays as one of the 3 centre-backs. So it's actually more about system rather than returning players. And I think the key to unlocking Leicester's system is probably the return of Soyuncu. Soyuncu had a setback from injury on Thursday. So at the moment, I think Justin probably stays in the team. Worst case will be as one of 3 centre-backs. William Jones, sorry James, one more question. Who would you play, Cresswell or Ayling? Probably Cresswell because of the set pieces and stuff. Notorious Nerd, who'd start, Dallas v Chelsea or Bissouma? I'd go Dallas, mate, I think. Urostazic. Sorry if I butchered that, mate. Morning, James. Who would you put first sub? Cancelo in the 11, Bellerin or Ayling? You can toss a fucking coin on them too, I think, mate. But probably Bellerin. Andre D, give the man some likes if you watch this. Thanks, Andre D. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. All those things I meant to say that I can never be bothered to do. Adam Lewis, -8 for me. Fernandez, Grealish and Cancelo out to Salah, Ziyech and Mendy. What do you think? Doesn't matter what I think, Adam. What matters is what you think. Baby Mexico's with 2 B's for the baby. Salah captain or Jota captain? It's Salah, right? FPL Sponge. Dullard Burke to Jota for free. Also had Son to Fernandez for a -8. No, not the ad. Jed Reynolds, have Martinez, Kilman, Mitchell and Cancelo in my defence. All rotation doubts. 1.8 million in the bank. Who should I upgrade? Well, Mitchell's more than a rotation. He's almost definitely not going to play. Kilman, he's only going to play if Wolves change system and they've got Liverpool away. I don't know what the rest of your defence is, Jed. Have you got cover? But I'd be looking at, generally speaking, cheap. Cheap with what you've got there. So Leeds, Ayling, Dallas, you might not get the immediate, but good fixtures coming up. Reece James, to be honest, is a very straightforward one to upgrade to. Absolutely fine. I think Chelsea would be your priority. Reece James is such an easy get. Alejandro Perez, thanks James. This is why I woke up at 5 a.m. to come on this stream, because you keep it 100%. Cheers from the US. Thank you, Alejandro. Just a reminder, guys, I'm not going to get to your questions if you haven't asked them yet. I will be shutting the stream down at 10:30 a.m. on the dot. Apologies for those with other questions like Sky, etc. I'm not going to get to you today. I do have an appointment for my son at 11 a.m, so I've got to shut this down bang on 10:30. Javinho99 says, morning James, which scenario do you prefer? A, ZH Watkins to Jota Bamford for -4, then bench as well, there's too much going on, pal, then bench Grealish, or B, Grealish to Jota for free but lose 0-point value tied up in Grealish and bench Watkins. Just go Watkins to Adams, or Watkins, can you just go Watkins to Bamford and just hold that? If you can just go Watkins to Bamford, just that's better for me. So BC1, hi James, what do you think about Son versus Bellerin? What do you think about the criticism that Martial was faced? Rightly so, but Rashford, who hasn't had a good game in ages, faces no criticism at all. So no one wants to criticise Marcus at the moment when he's feeding the country's children. Come on, guys. I hope Son obviously plays on the left. I think he'll get more change out of Bellerin than he would out of Tierney. Yes, agree. Well, although I think just as important on that is who might play right-hand side centre half for Arsenal. Obviously, Gabriel is obviously left-sided for Arsenal as well, if it's a back four. Obviously, if it's a 5, probably Gabriel plays central. Although, I guess David Luiz could play the centre of that if it's a back 5. I'm not sure how they'll line up tomorrow, which is one of the things that makes it less appealing. If that's the isolated situation, then I think Sonny could do bits, yes. Michael says, any idea how Wolves will set up without Jimenez for the long term? We're guessing away, right? My instinct is that they'll probably go 4-3-3 tomorrow and play Dendoncker, Neves and Moutinho. And I think Podence might play as a false 9. That's my instinct tomorrow. But we've never seen Wolves do that before, particularly. So, that's my instinct. But I think that's for Liverpool tomorrow. What happens afterwards? Guess away if this back 4 sticks or they go back to back 5. No idea, mate. Chris Poyner, hi Jay, Zuma or Justin to start if already starting Chilwell. That's a difficult one because of Leicester's fixture is obviously really appealing as they have Sheffield United. Trying to think of set piece goals that Leeds have conceded. I think they're probably one of the better ones. I think I'd always be more inclined to pick the player from the power team, and the power team for me is still Chelsea. So I would go Zuma, mate. Peter Kisilov, hi, just looking at your team. I was wondering what your plans for next week. Foden to Jota. And then something else. Or Calvert-Lewin down to 6-ish. And then Foden to Jota and maybe even Nico Williams to Trent. So I'm open-minded about it. The thing is, every time you try and plan for next week's transfers, something else gets in the way and I get an injury somewhere else or something. So I'm not thinking about it too hard. I know I'll need to move it about next week and get some extra Liverpool in somehow. So that's why money is spare for me at the moment. It could even be that it's Bruno to Salah. Might even be as straightforward as that. Sabisi, like the stream, please. Thanks, Sabisi. Jack Parry, 429. Morning. Do you think Oliver Burke will start for Sheffield United? Start him or Soufal this week? Keep up the good work. I saw a lot of people saying that Burke played really well for Sheffield United. I'm not as convinced. I think he threatened West Brom. I'm not sure he'll worry Leicester in the same way because I think West Brom started really slowly in the game and it felt like Burke was a big part of it and then he tailed off quite a bit. So Brewster needs to play. Therefore, I mean, Brewster and Burke, does that work as a partnership? Probably not. So I think the answer is Soufal. FPL Warrior, what do you think about tilting towards Spurs defence towards Xmas? Seem underrated on recent form. I think Reguilon is probably the best shout, my friend. But it's not in my thoughts personally, to be honest. Al Dante says Salah, KDB, Nandez, Kane, wicked man. Tiffy Ferrero, what is your best memory of your grandmother and grandfather? Jesus, that's fucking random. 13 minutes before a deadline. But I never met any of my grandfathers. That's a very long story. Best memories of grandmothers. Probably Christmases and stuff, to be honest. Fest Catch Bar, very thrilling game week 11. Cheers, Mr. Anderson. Hey James, good luck, you too. British says, hi James, hope you're doing good. Is it possible that Aston Villa Newcastle game will get pushed to Wednesday and occur within game week 11? Yes, I'd say the chances are about 0.01%. It's probably more likely that Newcastle is postponed next week than that game takes place. But yes, that's why the Villa boys are in my team, because there is a very, very small possibility. I would suggest if we don't know by the end of today, then it's a definite no. Alexander Costello, play Lamptey and Walker Peters, or drop one and put Mendy off bench in mid. Mendy of Leicester, I'm going to guess. Obviously, play Lamptey and Walker Peters, or drop one and put Mendy. No, Mendy's not an option. He's nothing but a bench filler. So yeah, I play Walker Peters personally. Vikram says Telles, Mane and Saka out for Jota, KDB and Justin from -4. Justin, I presume, is a make weight here on price, I'm guessing. Not keen on getting Justin now because of kind of what I discussed a little while ago. Not massive on it. Mane to KDB is even a bit sideways, isn't it? Saka to Jota is obviously a massive upgrade. It's okay, particularly if you're sitting the armband on KDB. But I'm not big on Justin as the choice there. Pete Haley, hey, one more question. Any more news on Cavani and his banning? Well, I presume he's available for this weekend. Not heard anything about it. Adam Lewis, great content, thank you. Joe Finley, bad morning, James. Need to drop DCL in Sky after Burnley to a mid 8 million or below. Who would you be looking at? Don't need Monday captain. We'll have McCarthy. Joe, I'm buying Oriol Romeo. That's not going to make any sense to the FPL managers, so ignore it. British Mukherjee, how many games should I give Ziyech before moving him on for Jota? Fixtures coming up that could be nice for him. Leeds, Everton, definitely. At least give him the 2. Bluma Caldera, is Fabianski a good option? He gets save points. Yeah, he does. Of course, he's a reasonable option. Flappy's always been a good FPL option. Miller Marsh, have James and Rashford in a draft league. Which would you play? Rashford, a doubt. I'd still play Rashford. Francis Bellardi, morning James. I got Danny Welbeck replace of Ollie Watkins. Congratulations. Synovius, what short, medium term impact do you think the COVID infections will have on Newcastle? Keep up the good work. Not a Scooby, mate. I'm not there, so there's no way of knowing if players are affected or not. We don't know what players have got it. No way of knowing. Bonus gaming. Have you got any tips for my free hit? Some players you'd have, yeah, cancel it if you can. 3 Manchester City players, probably the attacking ones. Feels like probably a really important strategy from there. This is, I covered this yesterday. This is the point. I'm free hitted because I'm in trouble. Who are you picking? The fixtures are tough. Oh, I need Man City. Now what? Now what? This is why. Yeah. Okay, right. So let's try and help. Wilfred Zaha would be a good shout. I think you probably want Calvert-Lewin because of possibility. You want defensive players playing the shit. So Everton, Leicester, probably not Man City because you want their attacking players. So Everton, Leicester defensively, I'd be looking at strong. Probably a little bit of West Brom as well. Johnston would genuinely be a good keeper option for you for the 1 game week. Attacking wise, you want a bit of Chelsea, I think. Yeah, you're going to want some Liverpool in there probably as well. One of the big boys attacking. It wasn't a good week to do it, I'm afraid, personally, because of exactly that. When you free hits, you know what you want to go to. Stephen Lyons, morning James. Really sorry if you've already answered this, but is Lloris going to start for Spurs this weekend? You're the only one I trust. Thanks, mate. Hold up. It's called Jose. Jose, is he playing tomorrow? Look, I don't pick the team, do I? So I don't know. That strong rumours are the same as last week, that he's potentially carrying an injury issue. I imagine it's the same as whatever it was last week. My instinct is that Hugo will play. If he's not, I'm going to spend most of the day up until 4:30 on the toilet and probably half time as well, because I'll shit myself. So fingers crossed that he does play. My instinct is that yes, he probably will play. Savage says, thoughts on Watkins to Adams. I have Basuma for now. Reasonable transfer. You're going to like it next week as well. And I would just be conscious that you're probably going to want to make that move that backwards in match week 13. Goal perfect. Who should I captain? Wow, we got all the way to 52 minutes into the stream, basically. Incorrect, 49 minutes. Before someone asks me a proper captain question, I feel like we're learning in here, guys. It's really good. My preference is golf perfect on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. So from your options, Bruno Fernandez is the one that I'd go for. Dusan Goffich, could you give few pros on that Johnston move? Okay, the pros. He's one of the best keeper options for this week. He's one of the best options for next week. He's 4.5 million. It's a short-term move because I'm going to wild card in a few weeks. It doesn't particularly matter. He offers me additional cover of a playing goalkeeper, which I didn't have. But doing it straight for Martinez is the riskiest transfer you could make for the weekend. Don't go Martinez to Johnston. Honestly, you might have the same problem next week, and you'll find you'll be reversing the transfer. These reasonable look. When you get the combination of goalkeeper who makes high volume of saves in shit team, it's good because he can hit like the 10-pointer like he's done last week, and so that's the ideal goalkeeper. Was it Neil Etheridge was top scoring keeper a couple of years ago when Cardiff got relegated? Saves. One of the best players in the team. You could argue possibly talisman is what he might actually become. That's a combination of goalkeeper that you want in FPL. So what you don't like with obviously Johnson is after the Newcastle fixture in 12, they've got City, Villa and Liverpool in the 3 games afterwards. But I'll tell you what, he'll pick up some save points in them. Heavy Finger 7, cheers James. Which Leeds attacking mid would you target for the fixture run? Click Harrison or Rafinha? If Harrison wasn't flagged, I would have said Harrison. But Rafinha is a really good shout. I know Late Riser's really keen on him as well, and he's a better FPL manager than me. Rob Warnock, apologies, I'm sure it has been covered, but what is the story with Kane's injury? The story with Harry Kane's injury is that if his leg isn't amputated, expect him to play tomorrow. We believe that his wife might be due baby at some point, and that might be the issue. So, expecting Harry to play. T-Tac, I have Sterling, Cancelo, Watkins and Jack. Who do you prioritise ditching? None of them particularly. I wouldn't want to get rid of Watkins. Watkins, if you can get someone in for 2 weeks like Che Adams, great, and then go back. So that would be my answer. Edwin Grand, just played with 10 players instead of getting a second playing goalkeeper. Question. I've covered this before, Edwin. It's not easy to define in one question. It depends a lot on your makeup, what you're doing before, afterwards, in the middle this week. Really not an easy one. I've decided it was worth it to get a goalkeeper for me. Ken Log, who would you put into starting lineup? Dallas versus Chelsea, Masaraku versus Man United. Tough one. Probably Dallas because the risk of Masaraku giving me a 45-minute again. Baggio says, made Bruno my captain and Werner my vice. Do you think it's a good move? You obviously did, Baggio, so stick with it. William Jones, sorry James, I completely forgot to ask about this question. Thoughts on Jota and Salah in a 3-5-2 over the Christmas run? It's reasonable, mate, but you might need that bench. If you're going for a 3-5-2, probably means your bench is shit. Mission Fit, hey, from Canada, Walker for Cancelo. Wouldn't make the move, personally. Walker looks highly likely to start. Cancelo less so. Not convinced, though. You never know with Pep. T-Tac, Gazaniga's so much better than Hart, shot-stopping Spurs fan. I agree. They're both shit, though, mate. I'd have the same fucking toilet trouble tomorrow if Gazaniga was in goal. Tekker's 3773. Martinez to another keeper for a hit. I've covered. I'm going to jump that. Kent Log, would you start Dallas? You've done that once already, mate. You're going to get muted. Adan Fakir, do you think KDB or Mahrez will score more points this week? KDB. Ray Qureshi, just got on to say good luck. You too, pal. Mahesh, morning James. Dallas, Walker Peters or Lamptey, the better 5 million defender to go for. I like Dallas going forward. Alejandro says, hey James, last question. Start McCarthy or Ryan in goal. I'm already starting Lamptey. Thanks. I would have said McCarthy anyway. I had that question already. Dusan says, thanks for asking. Ask because I have done the same move. Forster, Johnston, but doubted because it's a Goldie move. And I have now rotating keepers. A keeper for this fixture. A Goldie for bench boost. Edwin Guan likes my hat. Nice. Right, so there's no more questions in the chat. I'm going to end this now. Sharif saying, hey buddy, KDB or Hayes as captain is a clue. Bottom right hand corner of the graphics, mate. I'll end it there, guys, because we're going to finish at 10:30 anyway. And I don't want to kind of invite more questions and then not cover them. So please don't ask any more questions. I'll leave it there. Thanks very much, guys. Deadline is 32 minutes away as far as I'm concerned. Make sure you get your teams locked in for 11. Apologies, I have an appointment to get a haircut for my son, which I couldn't move. Obviously, deadline was originally Friday. Family shit gets in the way sometimes, you know what I mean? And to be honest, getting me my boy's haircut is far more important because I need to get rid of that fucking mullet that seems to be appearing at the back of his head, you know what I mean? So, good luck this game week, guys. Hope your arrows are green. If you're thinking of supporting us on Patreon, this is a really good time. It's the start of the month, etc. 23 additional podcasts on Patreon from intermediate level. At the advanced tier, there's going to be some additional stuff this week. Not this week, this month even. I've got 2 articles a week in terms of team news, predictions, also statistical analysis of each game week as well. Although I'm going to find that really difficult between the 26th of December and 28th of December. Probably won't get it done between those game weeks. Got something planned for my advanced tiers, which I'll be messaging you about if you're in the chat this week as well. Something additional. You can support us on Patreon from £3 a month, which gets you into the Slack channel. There's over 300 members in there. If you're a bit bored of Twitter and think this is shit, I don't like all the toxic stuff, come into the Slack channel because there's none of it in there. And it's a great little community we're building. If you want to buy me something nice for Christmas, that's the best thing you can buy me. Main podcast this week will be Monday. We're going to go early before Brighton and Southampton. We'll cover that off a little bit on Tuesday, but the main podcast this week will be on Monday rather than Tuesday. Other than that, guys, got to go. Apologies for leaving you early. Good luck for the game week. Hope your arrows are green. Ciao for now.